Chapter 3 Season 4 is coming to a close, which means my second season of comp has concluded. I'll be covering all the progress I made this season as well as my goals for the next. If you enjoy the content, please consider using code HOWL when buying the battle pass. Starting off with stats, I went from 2,600 PR to 6,000. While this might seem like a pretty good jump up in PR, it should have been a lot more, and I'll explain why. This season we had dual Divisional Cups, which we definitely underperformed in. To anyone who may be unfamiliar with how they worked, you had a placement cup at the start of the season to determine what division you start the cups in. You need a top 200 to make it into Elite, where you compete for money. We had a couple of bad endgames due to not getting refreshes and had a terrible tournament out of Sunny. It was contested by 2 to 3 teams every game, and if we didn't die off the 50-50, we would be behind on rotates due to fights dragging out for too long, causing us to go down the Surge or get held in Storm. We missed out on the easiest chance to qualify Elite and now have to get top 20 in Challengers to make it there. In the earlier Challenger Cups, we had a bunch of sloppy endgames. Looking back, I see how behind I was as a player, making dumb mistakes and not being able to do certain things, like taking over the tarp when necessary. It happened so much throughout the early tournaments where we slowed down because I'm dropping mats instead of taking over for a bit. There were some really bad instances where Leaf would take a lot of damage and I would just sit there not looking around or getting ahead or anything, just watching him heal. At the end of week 3, we had our best placement and played some really good endgames but choked at the end. We would go on to do this 5 more times and not qualify at Challengers the entire season, which is the biggest failure I've had throughout my competitive journey. I think the biggest issue that we faced was taking too long to learn from our mistakes. We made a fair amount of mistakes, which is fine, however taking 2 to 3 tournaments to fix them wasn't. Bad awareness caused us to have one of the worst tournaments of the season, and then the next week we go and die to bad awareness again. This happened with a few other mistakes, and it wasn't until the end of the season where we started fixing them quicker. Although the Divisional Cups didn't go as planned, I still learned a lot from them. I was able to get a much better understanding and sense of endgames. At the beginning of the season, I followed Leaf around and didn't make that much of an impact, and I was more so support to whatever Leaf was doing, which obviously wasn't working out. I started VOD reviewing a lot more to get a better understanding of where pros would look and go for refreshes, and towards the last few tournaments, I was making more of an impact endgame and just understood it a lot better. My best placement this season was 41st in Challengers Cup, which is better than last season's dual placements, but this was in Challengers while the top teams are in Elite, so I don't think it's too equal of a comparison. Going back to understanding the game, I feel like my game sense has improved significantly when I started taking the time to VOD review. I would VOD review my own games and know everything I was doing wrong, nitpicking every little mistake and seeing what needs to be improved. Then I would watch pros to see what they would do in the same situations and know what they did, then implement it into my scrims and tournaments. After making a video on how to become a better fragger where I VOD reviewed Commandment, Kanata, and Iomzo, I had more of a direction and a better idea of what to do endgame. Next season I'll be VOD reviewing a ton to help me get a better understanding of what I should be doing and improve quicker. As most of you probably know, I switched off Edit on Release about a month ago. I posted a video showcasing my progression, and if you haven't seen it, you can check it out in the top right corner or in the description. After being off of it for a month, I'm starting to get back to the speed I was with it on and have more control over my crosshair. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're considering switching. My mechanics look pretty good, but they aren't as controlled as I would like them to be. Every time I edit fast or edit course an opponent, I'm not in as much control as it seems, and it leads me to messing up edits or missing shots. I think my movement takes part of the blame here and needs to be improved. I'm also worse at editing with my shotgun out than my pickaxe, which I'm working on now. My goal for next season is to get my mechanics to the point where all my edits are deliberate and controlled. I'll become a much better fighter if my mechanics are good enough for me to do whatever I'm thinking. Last season in dual fights, my main issue was taking ineffective angles and not having too much of an impact in fights. This season I did a better job of having an impact in fights, but my angles and awareness were extremely questionable at times. I would take lots of damage from a dumb peek or bad awareness, and it would slow down or change the momentum of the fight. As the season went on, I got better about fixing this, but similar to a lot of the other issues we had in Divisional Cups, it took a while to fix. I don't spend nearly as much time as I should in Arena. I'll just play creative and I'll PG and work on my mechanics, but never work on any fighting skills like I should be. When playing creative now, I'll spend a lot more time in box fights, reels, or zone wars instead of brainlessly cranking in PGs. Next season I'll be playing a lot more Arena and improving my angles, awareness, and any other fighting issues. Last but not least, we have aim. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, you know what my aim was looking like. I was doing an hour of Kovacs each day, thinking that it would magically make me hit all my shots, and it may shock you when I tell you that it didn't. My aim was still bad, and I was hardly doing anything to change that until I started aim dueling. Aim training in-game has helped me see a significant increase in my aim over the past few weeks, and I made a video about it last week, which I'll leave in the description. While I prioritized aim training in-game, I didn't ditch Kovacs. However, I did stop caring about scores entirely and started focusing strictly on proper technique, then speeding up. This has helped me see more improvement in my mouse control, and I ended up breaking some high scores in the process without even worrying about it. I only have 2 goals for next season, and they're very simple but require a lot of work in order to achieve them. The first is to understand the game. I need to be putting a lot of time into VODing and have a good understanding of how the game is played at the highest level. But the biggest challenge will be applying my knowledge in game and improving as a player. Because it's one thing to know something and a completely different thing to understand something well enough to have the ability to do it properly when necessary. This not only applies to adding things to my game, but also eliminating any mistakes I would make as quick as possible. Second is to have a positive impact on my team. We haven't gotten an announcement on what the game mode is for next chapter, but a lot of people are assuming it'll be trios. No matter what in team game modes, I need to make an impact. For the last 2 seasons I've been doing with Leaf, and he's been IGLing me every tournament. Last season I was really inexperienced and it was my first season of comp, so I made little to no impact and was really just along for the ride. This season I've gotten a lot better, but still really didn't offer anything to the team, and I was more of a support player helping Leaf out a bit. I feel like if Leaf had a good tournament, we would do good, and if he played a bad tournament, we would do bad. I never really made any plays or did anything notable that would positively impact our tournament. I asked myself, if I were to be looking for a trio, what could I offer? And I struggle to find the answer for that because there's nothing I could do to positively impact that anyone else couldn't do. So that's something I need to change in the next season. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this yet, but it's my goal to make that happen. My goal with content next season is to consistently post 2 to 3 quality vids a week and stream every day in all tournaments. I appreciate all the support you guys have shown this season. I'm going to be working super hard to bring you guys the best content I can. Again, if you want to support me, you can use code HOWL when buying the battle pass or any new skins in the new chapter. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you again for all the support, and I'll catch you guys next season.